Hey everyone, today on Big Al Books, I'm hosting the Bookish Oscar Award ceremony. This is inspired by a list that I saw on Literary Hub where they talked about what if the Oscars were awarded to books, where they basically nominate a bunch of books in each category as it would line up with the Oscars. So I haven't seen nearly enough films this year to have an opinion on anything that's going to be happening at the Oscars this weekend, but I did read a few books that came out in 2017, so I'm just going to share my opinions on some of those books and recognize the books that deserve a little bit of special attention. So I hope you enjoy the show, even though there will be no celebrities or speeches or entertaining acts or anything that makes the Oscars what they are, but still, we're running with the theme. Welcome, and let's get started. Our first award for visual effects goes to the best comic or graphic novel of the year, and I have technically read no graphic novels that came out in 2017, but I have started My Favorite Thing is Monsters, and it is incredible so far, so I'm just gonna go ahead and decide to give this book the award anyway. I mean, the artwork in this book is just so cool, and it's about a gruesome little girl who pictures herself as like this werewolf creature, so I'm loving this so far, and I don't think that it will disappoint. So forgive me for preemptively esteeming this book with an award. The award for hair and makeup goes to the best science fiction or fantasy release of the year, which for me was The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. This book just transported me to a Middle Eastern inspired fantasy realm that was so full of imagination and political intrigue that I was just living for it while I was reading this book. The award for costume design goes for the book with the best book jacket design, which for me was The Idiot by Elif Batuman. So pretty and simple and intriguing. The award for live action short film goes to the best short story collection of the year, which for me was The Doll's Alphabet by Kamila Grudova. Very strange and surrealist short stories. I'm still kind of trying to wrap my mind around what I experienced, but it was an enjoyable experience for the most part, and I feel like these stories now live in some deep part of my subconscious. The award for short subject documentary goes to the best essay collection of the year, and I chose My Conversations with Canadians by Lee Maracle just because there is so much wisdom packed into so few pages, and Lee Maracle takes a very casual approach to having some very serious topics, especially about the relationship between First Nations people and Canadian settlers. This is a really powerful must-read book. The award for feature documentary goes to the best work of nonfiction from the year, which for me was You Don't Have to Say You Love Me by Sherman Alexie, a gorgeous memoir that has so much emotional power, that discusses Alexie's relationship with his mother and his reflections on his dysfunctional childhood growing up on the Spokane Indian Reservation. This memoir is often shifting in tone, so you'll get a humorous anecdote leading to an evocative poem, leading to a rageful rant. So there is so much happening in this memoir. It's such a wonderful reflection on Alexie's life and his relationship with his family. It was a very beautiful read. The award for cinematography goes to the book with the best setting, which has to be Lincoln in the Bardo by George Saunders, because for me, you just can't beat a graveyard in the middle of the night. That is an amazing location. Maybe I loved the setting so much because of the comic and tragic ghosts that live in this graveyard, but this novel really came to life for me. The award for film editing goes to the best work of experimental fiction, which I am awarding to This Accident of Being Lost by Leanne Beresamasake Simpson. This is a collection that varies in tone and style. It shifts from poetry to prose in a really natural way. So there are poems and song lyrics. Then there are also these kind of hilarious, anxiety-ridden rants about how technology is changing modern relationships. Then going into these traditional passages about the Anishinaabe appreciation of the land. It is a really stunning collection. The award for foreign language film goes to the best work of translated fiction, which for me was Things Things We Lost in the Fire, stories by Mariana Enriquez, translated from the Spanish by Megan McDowell. And these are some very creepy, atmospheric stories that really make Argentina seem like the most ominous place in the world. And I don't know what they read like in the original Spanish, but I think this translation did a beautiful job of preserving so much of the atmosphere from the original stories. So it's a truly remarkable collection of stories and a wonderful translation as well. The award for animated feature goes to the best work of YA, and I didn't read any proper YA books that came out in 2017, but I'm going to give the award to Son of a Trickster by Eden Robinson, since this is a book written from a teenage perspective. And at first it does seem to be about the everyday life of this teenage boy, but as the novel goes along, things keep getting a little stranger and more fantastic until we reach a very exciting climax with feral otters. So if that doesn't sell you on this book, I don't know what will. The award for Best Actress in a Lead Role goes to my favorite female character of the year, who was Hazel from Alyssa Nutting's Made for Love. Hazel is a woman who's running away from her tech executive billionaire husband, and she's trying to start her life over again. She moves back in with her dad, and this leads to a lot of really unfortunate but hilarious situations. She was very ridiculous but very lovable at the same time. The award for Best Actor in a Lead Role goes out to my favorite male character of the year, and I'm going to give this to Jojo from Sing Unburied Sing by Jasmine Ward, mainly because of all the obstacles that Jojo has to face in this book. I mean, he has to survive the really hellish and uncomfortable road trip to get his dad out of prison, and he has really dysfunctional parents, and he kind of has to take on a lot of responsibility at a young age, and then he also starts hallucinating and seeing ghosts. So there's a lot on Jojo's plate in this novel, and I have to say that he handles things very maturely, and he was a very strong character to read about. And of course, the last category is Best Picture, which is going out to the best novel that I read this year, which is going to be, drumroll, Lincoln and the Bardo by George Saunders. If you've been following my channel, you know I love this thing. I was way too emotional reading it. I feel like if this was a film, the Oscars would also just eat it up because, you know, so deep. So yeah, I had to give it to Lincoln and the Bardo. Sorry for being so basic and predictable, but it is what it is. This is the Oscars after all. So that's it for my literary Oscar celebration. Let me know down below what some of your top picks might be. If you are going to be watching the Oscars, I hope that they are everything that you dream that they're going to be. If you're not going to be watching the Oscars, like myself, I hope that you do something valuable or enjoyable with your time instead. I know for myself, I like to go to the store and buy a lot of food and pretend that I'm hosting an Oscars watching party, but I really just go home and then eat all the snacks and don't follow through and actually watch the Oscars, which is also a nice tradition, so there's that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.